You're listening to Spring River Chronicle. Audio on the go.
First National Banking Company. Get checking that pays with Super Plus Checking at FNBC.
Hydraulic acid railcar spews gas leak near Hardy by John Rourke. A railcar marked as holding hydraulic acid broke containment on a northbound BNSF train near Hardy August 23rd, spewing a cloud of gas as it passed an eastbound train near Baker's Pass, according to Hardy Police Chief Ernie Rose, who spoke to BNSF authorities. Operators of the eastbound train reportedly noticed an iron or metallic taste, which indicated it could be some sort of acid, according to Rose. It was believed to be hydraulic acid, as indicated by the markings on the railcar. While the investigation continued several hours after the leak was first noticed, officially BNSF has not confirmed the identity or the amount of the material leaked. We all staged around the perimeter of the car that we assumed was still leaking, and preserved that until the railroad personnel got here, Chief Rose said of the hazmat team along with other hazmat teams from the area. We held our perimeter until we got the assessment from them. They reported back that the leak had stopped. At first, it was not clear how hazardous the leak was or how far it extended. Local fire departments at Hardy and Williford were called, along with several hazmat teams in the area, including teams from Salem, Lawrence County, and Cherokee Village. Hydraulic acid is an acid that is actually in our hazmat books, and it tells us to immediately stay away about 150 feet from it, Rose said. And if there's a cloud, of course, you don't know where it's going to go. So we immediately assessed the situation. He continued, noting that although the amount of the leak was reported to be minute, they checked the wind and notified all the surrounding agencies that were involved, just in case. The Sheriff's Department and fire departments all worked together to get the perimeter set up immediately and check on residents. No one was injured in the incident, and authorities report that the scene of the leak had been declared danger-free. Because you want the Spring River Chronicle in your mailbox every week, scan that code on the front page that says subscribe with your credit card. Thanks for listening to Spring River Chronicle, audio on the go.
You're listening to Spring River Chronicle. Audio on the go.
First National Banking Company. Get checking that pays with Super Plus Checking at FNBC.
Hey, Jody Shackelford here. Let's take a quick look at your forecast. Wednesday, August 24th, a thunderstorm in the area with a high of 93 degrees and a low of 71. Now on Thursday, August 25th, they're calling for partly sunny skies, but not as hot, with a high of 86 and a low of 61. Now kicking off your weekend, Friday, August 26th, mostly sunny. High of 88 degrees, a low of 63. We're starting to see these lower temperatures for our highs, not really getting above 90 a whole lot this week. And Saturday, August 27th, sunny much of the time, 87 degrees for the high, low of 65 in the evening. On Sunday, it's going to be August 28th, sunny and pleasant, high of 86 degrees and a low of 64. We're hitting that great kind of golden zone where the temperatures are just perfect. To let you know what's going on Monday, August 29th, a thunderstorm is possible, high of 86 degrees and a low of 67. That was a quick look at your forecast. Be sure to subscribe. You can use your credit card. Just scan that subscription code right on the front page and get the Chronicle every week in your mailbox. All your friends are doing it. Jump on board. Don't miss out. And thanks for listening to Spring River Chronicle, audio on the go. West Memphis 3, Walk Free by Mike Douglas from the Evening Times in West Memphis. Publisher's note: a story such as this can be best told from those who were most closely affected. We would like to thank publisher Alex Coulter with the Evening Times of West Memphis for allowing us to publish this piece. Damian Eccles, Jason Baldwin, and Jesse Miskelly Jr. enjoyed their first weekend outside of a prison cell in 18 years after a plea deal set the trio, known as the West Memphis Three, credited them for time served and released them. The three dressed in sports coats and slacks. Miskelly was the only one of the three wearing a necktie. Baldwin and Eccles wore dress shirts with collars open. The defendants quietly entered the Jonesboro courtroom Friday at around 11:15 a.m. following a one-hour hearing behind closed doors with Circuit Judge David Laser to make sure, in the judge's word, that each man understood what they were pleading to and the potential consequences. Judge Laser accepted their plea deals under a deal called an Alford plea that allowed the men to enter guilty pleas yet maintain their innocence. They also told the judge that on the advice of their counsel, that by entering the pleas, they would be avoiding the risk of a higher penalty if a second trial was granted. The plea allows a defendant to profess innocence because it is in his best interest to do so, but in the plea still carries the same legal weight as a regular guilty plea. In entering the pleas, the trio waived their right to a jury trial or an appeal. Eccles and Baldwin pleaded guilty to the 3 modified counts of first-degree murder, while Miss Kelly pleaded guilty to 1 modified count of first-degree murder and 2 counts of second-degree murder. The charges were reduced from the capital murder charges they were found guilty of in 1994 in connection with the deaths of 3 8-year-olds, Stevie Branch, Michael Moore, and Christopher Byers. Judge Laser accepted Eccles, Baldwin's, and Miss Kelly's guilty plea with their profession of innocence and said none would be returned to the custody of the Arkansas Department of Corrections. Judge Laser placed Eccles, Baldwin, and Miss Kelly on 10 years suspended imposition, a probationary period. They will not have to report to a probation officer, and their travel will not be restricted, but the judge cautioned them that any failure to comply with the terms of the probation could result in an additional 21 years, 287 days in prison. The plea also makes it very difficult for the defendants to sue the state, although it does not prohibit them from profiting from the ordeal. Judge Laser questioned each defendant individually before they entered their plea. Each maintained their innocence but agreed to the deal as one of expedience, the quickest, cleanest way to escape life sentences, or for Eccles, a death sentence. As Judge Laser read his cautionary statement to the defendants, Steve Branch, the father of one of the murdered children, interrupted the proceedings, yelling, "Judge, you are wrong. You are opening a Pandora's box for every prisoner on death row." Several Jonesboro policemen and court bailiffs escorted Branch from the courtroom. He could still be heard yelling outside the 4th floor courtroom, "You can't shut me up. This is wrong." Another spectator was escorted from the courtroom when he interrupted the hearing. As the 3 defendants left the courtroom, another spectator called them baby killers. "I know this won't answer all the questions. I don't expect it to," said Judge Laser after Eccles, Baldwin, and Miss Kelly had left the courtroom. "I also know this won't make the pain go away for the families. This has been a tragedy for all sides. This has been an unusual case and an unusual disposition. Today's proceedings allows the defendants the freedom of speech to say they are innocent, but the fact is they just pled guilty. I strongly believe the interests of justice have been served here today," prosecuting attorney Scott Ellington said during the court proceedings. Ellington said the deal preserves the case's 1994 guilty verdicts. "On behalf of the state, I have preserved the verdicts of those juries and averted more prolonged and costly trials and appeals in this case," Ellington said. "The legal triangle known as the West Memphis 3 case is finished. They will be free men on suspended sentences. I hope and pray they have been rehabilitated. Only time will tell as to whether this was the right decision on my part." Ellington said that Judge Laser was likely to grant a new trial in December, and the state believes these defendants could very easily have been acquitted. Eccles' attorney, Dennis P. Riordan, had a different view of the deal worked out over the last 2 weeks, after attorneys for the 3 defendants broached the idea with prosecutors. "These men not only walked out, they created today by this plea, to me, proof positive of their innocence and the state's recognition of it. Does anyone believe that if the state had even the slightest continuing conviction that they were guilty, they would have let these men go free?" Riordan said that what the state was agreeing to was there was such compelling new evidence of DNA along with all the evidence that no reasonable jury would convict these defendants. "I think it's an implicit recognition by the state that this is the finding that would have been made at the hearing in December." Judge Laser had ordered an evidentiary hearing for December that was expected to lead to an order of new trials for Eccles, Baldwin, and Miss Kelly. During a press conference following the hearing, Baldwin said, "This is not justice. They are not out there trying to find who killed the 3 boys." Baldwin said he relented to pleading guilty in consideration of his friend Eccles, who would have remained on death row and faced possible execution if the deal fell through. At the press conference, he said he was not completely pleased with the deal and almost did not go through with it, but feared for his friend Eccles' life. "This was not justice," Baldwin said. "In the beginning, we told nothing but the truth, that we were innocent and that they sent us to prison for the rest of our lives for it. We had come here, and the only thing the state would do for us is say, 'Hey, we will let you go only if you admit guilt,' and that is not justice any way you look at it. They're not out there trying to find who really murdered those boys, and I did not want to take the deal from the get-go. However, they are trying to kill Damien, and sometimes you just got to bite the gun to save somebody." "It's not perfect," Eccles said at the press conference. "It's not perfect by any means, but at least it brings closure to some areas and some aspects." Eccles added that he was still very much in shock and still overwhelmed. "We can still bring up new evidence. We can still continue the investigations we have been doing," said Eccles. "We can still try to clear our names. The only difference is now we can do it from the outside instead of having to sit in prison and do it. After 18 years, Eccles said it wasn't difficult for him to come to the decision to agree to the plea deal. At the time of their arrests, Baldwin was 16, Miss Kelly was 17, and Eccles 18. Eccles and Miss Kelly are now 36, and Baldwin is 34. Judge Laser asked each man what their level of education was. Eccles said he had dropped out of school in the 9th grade, but has earned his GED. Baldwin dropped out of school in 10th grade, earned his GED and some college credits while imprisoned. Miss Kelly dropped out of school in the 9th grade and did not pursue any further education while in prison. DNA testing was not available at the time of the defendants' 1994 trials. In 2007, DNA collected at the crime scene did not match that belonging to any of the three men. In November 2010, the state Supreme Court ruled that all three could present new evidence in court. John Mark Byers, the father of one of the children killed in 1993, said he believes Eccles, Baldwin, and Miss Kelly are innocent, adding that he is angry with the way the pleas are being handled. This is not right, and the people of Arkansas need to stand up and raise hell. Just because they have admitted to it today, it's not over, Byers said. Since their incarceration, the trio has been the subject of 3 documentaries, one of which is scheduled to be released in November. The 3 men have had a long list of celebrity supporters, including the Dixie Chicks, Eddie Vedder, Johnny Depp, and Metallica. Baldwin and Eccles, along with Eccles' wife, spent Friday night celebrating their freedom in a luxury hotel in Memphis with the above celebrities, bodyguards, and their attorneys. They are now at an undisclosed location. Miss Kelly returned to his parents' home in Highland Park to celebrate with family and friends. Eccles said he will not return to Arkansas. Miss Kelly said he will seek a job on a farm in Earl, but may also leave Arkansas for California. Baldwin has not revealed his future plans. Again, thank you to the Evening Times in West Memphis for the story, and thank you for listening to Spring River Chronicle, audio on the go. Be sure to subscribe by scanning our ScanScribe code on the front page and enter your credit card information to make sure you get the Spring River Chronicle in your mailbox every week. Thanks for listening to Spring River Chronicle, audio on the go. Cherokee Village loses another employee, by Cindy Harris. In the midst of a budget shortfall, it was announced at the Cherokee Village City Council meeting August 18th that another employee, Terry Romans, has resigned his position to accept a new job in Fayetteville August 22nd. While this will help reduce the budget problems in the short term, it raises more questions for the future. Although Romans' main duty was IT, information technology support, he also maintained all of the city's budget records. As the city is currently under a hiring freeze enacted in January, those duties will likely fall to Cherokee Village Clerk-Treasurer Lana Hamilton or other city employees, some of whom have already either reduced their hours or work extra hours at no pay in order to try to reduce payroll expenses. There will likely be another departure soon. Roman's wife also works at City Hall as the city court clerk and will be also leaving as soon as their house is sold, according to Vera Mae Newman, chair of the city's personnel committee. It has been suggested that volunteers may pitch in to cover the positions, but others expect that some of the work, such as that of the IT department, may need to be contracted out. In other personnel news, Robert McKnight has been named as the temporary foreman for the Street and Roads Department for a period of 6 months after the sudden death of David Crane, who was the head of the department. Fire Chief Mike Taylor's department report included an increase in medical calls. Under questioning from Councilman Tom Thone, he stated that these calls were previously handled as EMS assists. And he says when a 911 medical emergency call is received, he explained the dispatcher automatically calls the Spring River Ambulance Service and the Cherokee Village Fire Department, at which the Cherokee Village Fire Department dispenses 2 fire and rescue units to the scene to back up the Spring River Ambulance Service. When queried further on the necessity of this, Taylor explained that as the Spring River Ambulance Service is also making cutbacks, many of the members of the ambulance crew that are on standby have taken on additional employment, making it more difficult for them to get to the scene of an emergency quickly. Chief of Police Ricky Crook reported on the recent burglaries, stating that there have been at least 8 residential burglaries reported and solved. One person has been arrested and is in jail, with 3 others that have warrants waiting to be signed. One of the 3 with outstanding warrants, one has 5 outstanding charges, and the other 2 have 6 outstanding charges apiece. Councilwoman Vera Mae Newman commended Police Chief Ricky Crook for the outstanding job the Cherokee Village Police Department did in solving the recent burglaries and thefts in the surrounding area. When asked by Councilman Lynn Maxedon if he had looked into getting a hunter's camera installed at the animal control shelter, Ricky Crook said, "No, I haven't had time since we've been working with these burglaries and thefts for the last few weeks." Crook also pointed out later that even if there were 2 cameras installed, one for each entrance, the people would eventually find a way around them, perhaps even stealing or damaging the cameras themselves. Maxedon also asked if the Department of Natural Resources had been contacted about doing a head count on deer in Cherokee Village to determine whether the bow hunts have been effective. Chief Crook reported that they said the earliest this could be done would be February after the next bow season. As councilman of the Safety Committee, Councilman Ray Torbett announced that the volunteer firemen had purchased new breathing equipment for the Cherokee Village Fire Department out of their own funds at no cost to the city. Mayor Lloyd Heffley updated the council on the request to the Cherokee Village Waterworks to collect a franchise fee for the city. After the Waterworks Council advised they could not collect a franchise fee as they were not a public utility, Mayor Heffley spoke with Representative Linda Collins Smith, who then talked with the Arkansas Attorney General about the situation. The Attorney General, Dustin McDaniels, will have an answer for Cherokee Village within 30 days. There was an emergency first, second, and third reading of an ordinance 2011 in regards to providing for the establishment of a flood damage prevention program for Cherokee Village. After some discussion, it was made clear that this ordinance is required by FEMA for all areas of Arkansas due to the changes in the recent flood maps. If the ordinance is not passed, it would affect the ability of flood insurance to be collected by homeowners, and it would affect the city's eligibility for future FEMA funds. Charlie DeLoach, Cherokee Village Building Inspector, asked for the council to approve a $1.99 and 9/10 a gallon for propane. If approved within a week, the city would be guaranteed this price for up to 8,000 gallons, which was approved unanimously after discussion. He then requested an additional $400 above his budget for Liz Keel to be recertified as a floodplains administrator and for Glenn Harris to be certified as a building inspector for the city, which was also approved unanimously. Mayor Heffley then reminded everyone that there will be a public forum to discuss the 1% sales tax on August 25th at 6:30 at the Cherokee Village Senior Center. This forum is sponsored by the Spring River Chronicle. Election for the 1% sales tax and use tax is September 13th, with early voting starting September 6th and absentee voting available now at the Sharp County Courthouse. Fulton County will early vote in Salem and day of September 13th at Omaha Center. Sharp County will early vote in Ash Flat and day of September 13th at Cherokee Village City Hall. Thanks for listening to Spring River Chronicle. Be sure to scan the subscription code on the front page where you can use your credit card to make sure you get the Chronicle in your mailbox every week. And check us out online at myspringriver.com.